The Sterling estate, tucked behind the velvet curtains of the Hollywood Hills, was less a home and more a monument to the ego. It was constructed of glass that never held a smudge and marble that felt like frozen bone. For Vivian Sterling, the house was a shield. For her daughter, Kinsley, it was a studio. Kinsley sat in her content suite, a room painted in a specific shade of engagement peach that made skin tones glow under any light. Wise. The vibe today is gratitude, Kinsley whispered into her gimbal-mounted iPhone. She adjusted her silk robe. My 21st birthday isn't just about the Cartier or the new G-Wagon. It's about the Sterling Grace Foundation. It's about giving back. She checked the viewer count, 112,000 and climbing. Downstairs, Vivian was orchestrating the arrival of the caterers. She was a woman of sharp angles and expensive filler. Every movement was calculated to project a grace she hadn't inherited, but bought. She checked her watcher. Custom piece that cost more than a public library's annual budget. The champagne needs to be exactly 44 degrees. Vivian snapped at a server. If the condensation drips on the white oak, you're fired. She was distracted. Her mind was drifting toward the black ledger, the one hidden in an encrypted partition of her cloud drive. The numbers weren't adding up, or rather, they were adding up too well for her, and not at all for the schools she claimed to support. Then the intercom buzzed. It was a discordant sound in a house of curated harmony. "Ma'am," the security guard's voice crackled. "There's a woman at the north gate. She's bypassed the outer perimeter. She says she's your sister." Vivian's heart hit her ribs like a hammer. "Eleanor," she breathed. The name felt like a curse. Outside, the sky had turned a bruised purple, and the rain began to fall in heavy, rhythmic sheets. Eleanor stood at the gate. She looked like a tragedy. Her coat was a pilled, oversized wool monstrosity that smelled of damp dogs and city soot. She held a cardboard box close to her chest. To the security cameras, she was the ultimate other, the person the Sterling spent millions of dollars in property taxes to avoid seeing. But behind the matted hair and the shivering frame, Eleanor's eyes were scanning. She wasn't looking at the cameras. She was looking at the models of the cameras. Hikvision 4K, outdated firmware, she noted. She looked at the gate's hydraulic hinges, lube-starved, neglected maintenance. The gate groaned open. Kinsley was already there, sprinting across the lawn with her street team. 2 exhausted assistants holding umbrellas and a secondary camera rig. Mom said let her in. Kinsley yelled, her voice high with excitement. "This is perfect." The humbled arc. "We're going live in 3, 2. Eleanor watched her niece. Kinsley didn't see a human being. She saw a thumbnail. She saw the homeless sister who ruined my birthday emotional. Eleanor, Vivian stepped onto the porch, shielded by a massive black umbrella held by a silent butler. "You have some nerve. Look at you. You look like you crawled out of a storm drain." "I did, in a way," Eleanor said, her voice raspy. She stepped into the foyer, leaving a trail of muddy water on the $50,000 rug. "I've had a string of bad luck, Viv, the apartment in Seattle. The fire. I just need a place to regroup. Just for the weekend." Vivian recoiled as if poverty were contagious. "The weekend? I have the governor coming tonight. I have the heads of 3 major tech firms. I cannot have this lurking in the guest wing. Please, Viv," Eleanor pleaded, her eyes watering a trick of lacrimal control she'd learned in a windowless room in Quantico years ago. "For Mom's memory." Vivian's lip curled. "Mom died disappointed in you. You chose the dirt. Eleanor, you chose to live among the real people. Well, here's your reality." Kinsley stepped forward, thrusting her phone inches from Eleanor's face. "Auntie, tell the fans. How does it feel to see how the 1% lives while you're literally dripping on the floor? Are you jealous? Be honest, it's better for the engagement if you're honest." Eleanor looked at the lens. "I'm not jealous, Kinsley. I'm concerned. Concerned. Kinsley laughed. Guys, she's concerned. Maybe she's concerned about her fashion choices. I'm giving you a chance, Vivian, Elena said, turning back to her sister. The messy persona slipped for a microsecond, a flash of steel in her gaze. The Sterling Grace Foundation. I've seen the news. I've seen the discrepancies people are whispering about. If you're in trouble, if you've borrowed from the books... Tell me now. I can help you fix it before the auditors do. Vivian froze. The air in the foyer turned frigid. Auditors. I own the auditors, Elena. You're a delusional vagrant. You want help? Fine. Vivian reached into a crystal bowl on the entry table where she kept emergency tips for delivery drivers. She grabbed a fistful of coins and crumpled fives and threw them at Eleanor's feet. Pick them up, Vivian commanded, and then get out. If I see you on this property in 10 minutes, I'm calling the police to report a trespassing. And Kinsley? Make sure you get her good side when she leaves. Elena looked down at the coins. She didn't pick them up. She simply nodded. I offered you a hand, Viv, Elena said softly. You chose the camera. The transition was violent. The warmth of the mansion was replaced by the hum of a server rack. The smell of Lilla was replaced by the scent of ozone and burnt coffee. Elena sat in an office in the downtown Federal Building. She was stripped of the damp coat. She wore a crisp white button-down and a shoulder holster that housed her Glock 19. Did you get it? Her partner, Marcus, asked. He was leaning over a bank of monitors. Elena reached into her matted wig and pulled out a microscopic device, a localized Wi-Fi sniffer and keylogger. I bypassed their external firewall the second I stepped into the foyer. Their internal network is wide open because Vivian thinks she's untouchable. I got the MAC addresses for her private server. She sat down and began to type. Her fingers flew across the mechanical keyboard with a deafening click-clack. She's moved $12.4 million over the last 18 months, Elena said, her eyes reflecting the scrolling green code. She's using a shell company called Lumina Logistics. It's registered to a dead gardener who worked for the family in the 90s. Clever, but not clever enough. And the daughter? Marcus asked. Kinsley is the laundering arm, Elena sighed. The giveaways she does on her channel, they're fake. She donates to accounts controlled by her mother, then wins the money back in private transactions. It's a closed loop of fraud, broadcast to 4 million people as charity. Elena looked at the clock. 8 p.m. The party is in full swing, Elena said. They're about to post the video of me. The homeless ant prank. You want to wait? No, Elena said, standing up and grabbing her jacket. I want to be there for the premiere. The gala was a sea of sequins and false smiles. The who's who of Los Angeles was gathered around the pool, which had been covered with plexiglass so people could literally walk on water. Kinsley stood on the stage, her birthday crown catching the strobe lights. Okay, guys. It's the moment you've been waiting for, she screamed into the microphone. The Sterling Grace Foundation just hit our goal of 5 million tonight. And to celebrate, we're premiering the anti-Messi video. It's a lesson in what happens when you don't have the sterling hustle. The massive screen behind her flickered to life. The video began, Elena, looking broken and wet, begging for a place to stay. The crowd laughed. Someone shouted, "Get a job." On the screen, Kinsley appeared, mocking Eleanor's clothes. The prank was cruel, calculated, and high definition. But then, the video glitched. The audio of Kinsley's laughter was replaced by a sharp, piercing feedback loop. The screen turned black, then white. A new image appeared. It wasn't a prank video. It was a spreadsheet, a ledger. Lumina Logistics, direct transfer. From Sterling Grace Charity Fund. $1,200,000. The crowd went silent. Vivian, standing near the bar, dropped her glass. It shattered on the plexiglass. The screen scrolled faster. Payroll, Kinsley Sterling. $500,000 consulting, dress purchase. $85,000 marketed as donation. What is this? Kinsley shrieked, turning to her tech team. Turn it off. Delete it. We can't. The tech shouted. Someone has remote override. Then, the lights of the mansion didn't just flicker, they turned into a strobe of red and blue. The roar of engines drowned out the party music. 3 black SUVs slammed through the front gates, the same gates Elena had stood at hours before. Elena walked through the front doors. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was flanked by 12 federal agents in FBI windbreakers. She walked straight onto the stage, past the frozen influencers and the terrified socialites. She took the microphone from Kinsley's limp hand. The stream is still live, Kinsley, Elena said, looking directly into the iPhone camera that was still broadcasting to millions. So let's give the fans what they want. Let's talk about the sterling hustle. Elena turned to Vivian, who was being intercepted by 2 agents at the edge of the pool.